Hello, I'm Eve.
Hello, I'm also Eve.
No, we talked about this.
Oh no, I'm not Eve. You're Eve,
Yeah,
and I'm
and I'm still
well,
reeling from the shock of the of what we just saw.
I'm Dan, by the way. Hello.
Hey Dan, lot to take in.
Oh my God.
Not sure where to start, but for viewers here just on random episodes, this is our immediately after of what I like to entitle Chibnall's last insult.
Chibnall's last stand.
This is the last episode before the anniversary, is that right?
Yeah.
And this is, I suppose, since we don't have a season number, is it in a season? Is it the end of it?
It was the centenary special of the BBC of Doctor Who.
Let's just say it's the 23rd of October 2022. It's a little after 9 p.m. and we started this episode taking a lot of notes, and about half an hour in we just stopped taking notes because, well, stuff like this sticks in your brain like a tumour.
Oh, by the way, there'll be massive, huge spoilers.
Yes, we're going to be talking about the entire episode. I'm going to try and structure it as a timeline from the start, but we may hop back and forward, although we couldn't possibly think of doing it as much as this episode hopped back and forward on timelines, masters, doctors, and just generally just making it an upsetting experience for all of us.
It was an assault. It was an assault of scenes. There was no real plot. The master was like, "I'm going to steal your body, Doctor," and my brain, being a long-term Doctor Who fan, went, "Again, you're going to try and steal the Doctor's body again?"
Let's start with the beginning. And you said it was messy. You said this. Yes. So. Even the opening scene, I'm going to start visually. The opening scene was an assault on our senses. First of all, can you imagine being someone riding that train and just trying to have a bit of sleep while the train's moving?
Yeah.
The episode opens with a space train going through space that's also under attack by Cybermen. Every scene outside of the train is flashing. We're watching this on a big HDR screen. It's a good damn job either of us have epilepsy, because that was just horrific. And then when you're inside of the train and the Cybermen are doing anything, it has classic Doctor Who blue light syndrome.
Just blue lights and smoke.
Yes, blue lights and smoke. So the whole visual aesthetic inside the train was foggy, and even when it wasn't, it was still flashing. That train needed curtains. It needed curtains so that the people in the train, who were all sitting on luxury £1,000 a piece ergonomic chairs, lined up and down. I recognise those chairs from a Linus Tech Tips video. Those are expensive chairs. They got them all done white. I've never been on a train that exclusively uses gaming chairs, but
I want to
be, because I'm sure that was comfortable. Give or take the being accosted by the
Cybermen.
Stormtroopers of Doctor Who.
Oh my God, Cybermen aim is just fuck. And also,
no, Dan, I'm going to correct you there. Spider-Man aim is flawless when the person being attacked has their credits listed as crew member 1, crew member 2, and so on. Although when it comes to shooting the Doctor, yeah, they're about as good as Stormtroopers.
No, those first Cybermen, they walked down and the train security took them down. And I wrote a note saying Cybermen made to look like chumps, because they just went down like sacks of shit.
It doesn't stay that way. We get an awesome scene of one of the Cybermen being a Terminator later on, which was...
Well, he's the named Cyberman.
He's the one that has a name, so he gets the...
And half a human face.
Anyway, walk me through this... The first 5 seconds of the episode, this train scene.
I can't. It was just an assault. It was
Okay.
It was a punchy opening. I'll give it
punchy, yeah, ADHD opening.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll walk us through it then. Set the stage. Okay, so there's a train. It's moving really fast. There's lots of lights. And they can't teleport into the train, and the TARDIS can't get inside the train, so they're going to do it the old-fashioned way. So the train is really fast. On top of the TARDIS is on top of the train floating. Anyway, let's take it back down a notch, because we went taking... We didn't eat a whole bag of Skittles like Chibnall must have done right before he wrote just this scene.
Oh, and God.
Presumably, I don't know how directing is done with Doctor Who, but anyway, they do something I like in sci-fi. It's a trope you see a lot, but it's interesting. Yeah. And that is, our sci-fi technology isn't going to work, and then they used some low-tech way of solving a problem. This problem was getting onto the top of the train so they could do Mission Impossible 1 and however many other... all train films have a scene on top of the train.
Yeah.
I like that they use a ladder to come out of the TARDIS.
It was like
that.
They couldn't land the TARDIS because the Cybermen had like put a anti-TARDIS fucking shield up or whatever technobabble they said. And the Doctor was like, don't worry about it. Spacesuits and a fucking rope ladder like Budgie the helicopter or something.
But it still
like
has to be a sci-fi ladder because of course it does. The bottom of it is magnetic.
Yeah, the bottom of it is magnetic. It was basically just a fucking rope ladder or something.
Bearing in mind, this entire scene with the train has been completed in under the time it's taken for us to describe what's happening.
Oh yeah, it was so fast. It
goes on to the Doctor. They get in the train. They while on top of the train, I must say, Scouse companion man. He nearly goes off into space. It's very unceremonious and insignificant. And yet later is his reason for leaving the TARDIS.
Yeah, he just the Cybermen are like, we're gonna steal the thing. They should have had little bandit masks like in Cowboys, where it's just a neckerchief tied around the face.
That would have been wonderful. It's a life and death hostage kidnapping situation, and the cracking jokes on top of the train.
Yeah, which part of me wouldn't have minded, but for a good 5 seconds, which doesn't sound long, but it
5
just
cuts in this scene.
The Doctor and Yaz, the female companion, are like, Dan, turn around, and he's just stood there going, "Oh, I'm a Scouser, do." And
he's generally not taking the scene seriously.
And they're like, "No, look, turn around." But for ages, why didn't they just say, "Look, you idiot, Cybermen, turn around," and there's Cybermen like 50 yards down the train, and it's like, one, why didn't they just say, "Turn around, stop being a prick, the Cybermen," or "Let's get out of the way, the Cybermen"? 2, why didn't the Cybermen just fucking blast them? Why weren't they firing shots?
There are a lot of scenes in this episode where you wonder why someone didn't just shoot someone. Something we wonder why people haven't done the showrunner.
Genuinely, there's a scene in this where the Doctor goes to meet the Master and they're talking for ages. The Master's murdered a bunch of people by shrinking them. And my brain just went, I think you said it out loud. My brain just went, would this be easier if the Doctor just went, well, that's all well and good, but I brought a gun and just shoots them out.
Yeah, a comment I made was, for every single bad thing the Doctor does at this point, they are as culpable as the Batman is for everything the Joker does after the 10 times the Joker has chosen not to throw the Batman has chosen not to throw the Doctor off the building. At some point, you've just got to go, give me that gun and shoot the Master.
I feel like it's slightly different with the Joker and Batman, though. Here's our tangent for today. The Joker and Batman, because the Batman will constantly beat the Joker up, further adding to his physical pain, trauma. He's making the situation worse, where the Doctor's just like, come on, you're better than this. And the Master's just like, no I'm not, you dick.
We're going to go on tangents. We're going to flop back and forward because it's going to be hard to maintain a structure and timeline for this episode, given that the direction, the editing, whatever it is, we cut backwards and forwards between multiple nations, multiple years, and it's hard to keep track of. I couldn't imagine being someone who looks away from the screen at their phone for a moment and misses that we're now in 1918 St. Petersburg as opposed to 1916 Siberia. It's so back and forward, but
it's meant. There's no strong plot holding it all together as well.
Let's take things one at a time and let's conclude the train scene.
Because I don't remember a lot of the trains. I'm gonna wake up.
That's okay. I remember the timeline of events. Unfortunately, I assume that some precious memories of lost relatives have had their memories replaced by memories of this episode.
Oh my god!
So, thanks, Chibnall, you've taken away that from me. I hope they were bad memories and not important things like passwords. Okay, so we get onto the train. The Cybermen, they don't get killed on the train. The Cybermen are there. Oh, it's the Doctor. The Doctor's here. Oh, gun down all the NPCs.
So the Cybermen are on the train. They're doing a train robbery.
Yes.
Space.
In the train. opens up a big coffin.
There's a big coffin. I will say this. I was like, that's obviously the Master. Of course, it's the Master. Why they? Literally,
Don't give him too much credit for subverting your expectations.
No.
Please
I'm
do go on.
going to give him credit where it's due because it makes the salt that I'm going to pour all over his open face later on a little bit easier. In fact,
we're actually outside of his house. When this podcast finished, we're going to be pouring salt into Chibnall's
we're going to
house.
go and kidnap Chris.
It's going to be the
Chibnall.
scene out of Utopia.
Yeah, we're gonna talk.
To be clear, that we're not actually outside of Chibnall's house. We don't know where he lives. But if you have any information, please send it to PO Box 481.
Please let us know where Chibnall.
Right, there's a little boy on the train. It's not the
No,
Master.
it was a girl. It was a little girl.
A little girl on the train.
Literally, as I finished smugly writing the note, obvious Master is obvious Master. They opened it up, and I was just like, oh no, it's not. So well done, Chris.
Well done, Chris. You subverted our expectations.
You piece of shit.
Okay, small girl.
Big afro.
Don't worry, I'm the doctor. I'm going to help you. Right next to them, a Cyberman basically just says, "No, you're not." Grabs hold of the girl. They teleport away.
Idiot.
Idiot. Right, cool. We got him.
And the Doctor gets in the TARDIS with Dan and Yaz. There's no real concern. This is another thing that I don't like about Chibnall's stories. There's no moment to stop and go, oh, the Cybermen have kidnapped a little girl. They're just like, right, on to the next thing, bye-bye.
Yep. That needed more. That was the Doctor failing. You know, and maybe they could have got back to the Doctor and back to the TARDIS, and the Doctor could have gone, okay, here's what we're going to do. But we didn't really get that. Within seconds, we were on to... what's the character's name? I forget. The
Dan.
Scouse. Dan.
How do
We're
you forget Dan's
now.
name, Eve?
I only have room for one Dan in my hat.
Aww.
Aww.
Aww. Suck it, other Dans in Eve's life.
Okay. So Dan pretty much is like... Companion Dan, they take him back to Liverpool, man, way I. Right?
No, that's Newcastle.
Okay, fair enough. I'm very sorry to all of our Geordie viewers.
And Scouser viewers as well.
No, they can go and fuck themselves. Okay, we'll pick you up in a moment, Dan, says Doctor and Yaz. Actually, I'm Dan, and I nearly died there. Maybe I don't want to come back. And there was about as much time and emotional depth to it. I mean, you could see Dan was trying his best. The person that plays Dan...
He's a comedian.
He was trying his best to have a sort of emotional look to him, like, maybe I don't want this.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd have had the time to show us his emotional range if the camera didn't cut within half a second and... Okay, bye then.
Yeah.
Bye, that's it.
See ya.
We don't need you in the next scene. We need you to be somewhere else. So out the TARDIS you go.
You don't have a home because a dog shrank it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so now is where things get a little bit hard to follow. Because that's the end of where the episode is a single continuous timeline. From this point, the Doctor and the camera is going to cut backward and forward between 1918 Siberia, or 1916 initially.
From the past in Russia.
And also going to cut forward to London 2022. Now, just to again set the stage...
And Ecuador. And a volcano in Ecuador.
And Bolivia, yes. Volcanoes around the world.
Oh, my God.
Let's just structure things correctly and think about this in a way that's the best to sort of explain what's happening. I'd like to discuss what's happening that's Chibnall in that car outside.
Oh, he's pulled a hit on us.
There's a car facing our front window.
Yeah, bright lights.
I can almost hear it revving. You want to say bad things about me in something that's not even live yet. Let's talk about what's happening in Siberia, even if it overlaps a bit. Then let's talk about what's happening in the modern day, because it's going to be impossible to talk about with the consistency of the show, which flip-flops behind it so frequently. So, and we'll get to the funny parts later. There were some genuinely funny parts in this episode.
Some genuinely good bits. I will say there was some genuinely good bits.
Siberia, were our 1916, our early 20th century time. The Master is... Rasputin, notable historic figure, Rasputin. In this timeline... There's a big... That's no moon. There's a Death Star. orbiting Earth. It
And
is
it's
a
just normal.
cyber planet, and
people pray.
yeah,
to the
and this
fucking-
never gets into the history books or anything.
Oh Jesus!
There's some other bits and bobs with people in that timeline, but all of that really is just a setup to show that the Master is controlling people in that timeline.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to go from here, because my next thought is, well, now there are suddenly Cybermen and Daleks that have committed themselves to the Master, and they don't do anything this episode, but we'll get to that. So, we're in 1916.
And then nothing happens for a little while.
Nothing happens for quite some time, but the setup here is this 1916 interpretation of the Master, which for visual purposes has long hair and a beard, so that
And
we, the
blue
viewer,
eyes.
can tell the difference.
Blue eyes.
Yep. So we're there, and what we have is ultimately his goal is to rip off the Fly. Something Rick and Morty's done before, and something even Doctor Who has done before.
Yeah,
he wants to force regenerate the Doctor into the Master, which is shocking. You all saw it. Let's get into how we'll do that later.
He wants to steal the Doctor's body, effectively.
Yes.
There's no explanation as to why.
Yes.
I
You
mean,
know what he
it's-
needs to do that? He needs an entire cyber moon.
An entire
That's also a
fucking
TARDIS.
moon and a little girl that's not really a little girl, but it's an alien that's made out of pure energy.
Yes, the little girl that was stolen is a being of pure energy that I think is required for the cyber TARDIS moon to actually work. Oh, Christ. Let's go back to modern day now, right? So that's a short summary of 1912. Now we're in 20...
Feel my brain shrinking.
Yeah, I can... The human brain is not designed to comprehend time in a non-consecutive fashion, because that's how we experience time. We experience time 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 seconds. When the human brain has to intersect that, well, our brains are designed with object permanence in mind, and when that's all over the fucking place, we as human beings are at an evolutionary disadvantage to Chris Chibnall.
It's literally like he had a really good story and he was just run into the fucking whoever approves of these sort of things, tripped over, and all his notes got mished up, and they
For 2 different episodes.
and then and then Chibnall passed his notes to the commissioning editor,
to his
BBC
intern.
or whatever, and the commissioning editor flicked through it, got to the page with the good bit. Do you know which bit I'm talking about? The good bit.
Yeah. I hope we're thinking about different bits.
Yes, this bit. No, the good bit is the bit after the Master enacts his plan. We'll talk about it later. I don't want to spoil it, but that was peak.
Let's get there.
Yeah, let's get there.
2022.
Oh fuck.
We are in.
We're going
we are
back
in
into the
unit.
shit, are we?
We got rid of Torchwood, but we need an organisation like Torchwood to still exist. So we have Unit.
Unit's been in Doctor Who long.
Oh, great. Okay, so we're at Unit, and are there any? There are some people in Unit.
Yeah.
Why don't you walk me through
Right.
the cast of 2022 of this episode?
Sophie Aldred played the character Ace, whose real name is Dorothy McShane, but she goes by Ace. And she was a companion of the Seventh Doctor from 1987 until 1989, when the show was cancelled. She's never officially her no longer travel. Her breakup, for lack of a better term, with the Doctor's never officially happened. Sylvester McCoy appeared in the 1996 TV movie before Paul McGann regenerated, and he was just by himself, and there was no explanation. There's been unofficial ones in books and audios and stuff, but there's been no official.
Okay. So that's your overview of who Ace is. Do we have anyone else important here?
Tegan Javanka. She was a Australian air hostess that was picked up by the Fourth Doctor and travelled with the Fourth and Fifth Doctors in the early 80s. And she's also there, and she's
Great.
a gobshite
Okay.
still.
So what I'm going to do here, and of course, Tegan has had delivered to a tiny little cute Cyberman.
Oh yeah, tiny little cute
That's okay.
Cyberman.
Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flop back for one moment to Siberia, 1916, and then we're going to come back here again. So Siberia, Doctor travels there. Ooh, there's some nasty stuff happening, and the volcanoes are upset. And a Dalek is telling me it wants to destroy all of the Daleks.
I forgot all about Barry the Dalek.
Yeah, because the Daleks did not need to be in this episode. But,
They really didn't.
But very much allow me to continue there. So we've gone back. The Dalek speaks to the Doctor. Help me destroy all the other Daleks. That doesn't make sense.
Wait, it said something really interesting that could have been a fucking a whole episode, a whole arc on its own. It was like we were the Dalek. The Dalek case were originally created to preserve the Khaled race, which is what the Daleks' original race was before they mutated after a nuclear war. Please don't do a nuclear war because we could end up in tins. But we've lost sight of that. We need to stop and go back to the drawing board. And it's like, oh, are they going to do like a really cool concept about the
of course not, Dan.
No, because Chibnall had a really good idea and he just fucking pissed all over it. And he's pissed all over me with it.
Anyway, I'm Dan's pitch fetted aside, right? We've gone to Siberia, but we popped there very briefly because while the Doctor's in their TARDIS, they get a Snapchat message video from, is it Ace or...
It
it's
was
the other
literally
lady.
a fucking Snapchat. Going,
it was a
hi,
short
Doctor.
video saying, come here and help me immediately. And the Doctor immediately goes, okay, this better be important. And then we immediately pop into 2022, where a plot thread begins to explain itself. You see, geologists have been going missing, and paintings have been going missing.
Oh my god, I forgot about
And this
the
is where I'm
fucking
leading,
paintings.
Dan. So, possibly one of the funniest scenes in Doctor Who lately. Tegan, Ace, and whoever it is that runs UNIT now. Kate, yes. So they take over, take the Doctor and go, lots of bad stuff's been happening. They've been nicking geologists and paintings. For example, all of these paintings. And then what we get is beautiful. Shot by shot, one by one, we are shown barely photoshopped versions of various famous paintings, including the Mona Lisa, Scream, except all of the faces have been replaced by our Rasputin master. And everyone is looking at this completely deadpan while we're genuinely looking at a Mona Lisa with Rasputin master's face and his little grey blue eyes. And we're just laughing hysterically. Dan,
My
your
favourite
thoughts, please.
my favourite thing of that is Kate Lethbridge Stewart. And I just love to imagine that how long's this been going on where they go and they look at a painting and what they assume to be Rasputin's face is on it and they're just like, why does this keep happening? Their confusion. There's no explanation for why it happens in the episode.
I'd have to go back and watch that scene again to be sure, but I'm not confident the actors and actresses can see what we're looking at there. I think
because they're doing it straight.
Yeah, I was going to say, they were so straight-faced, I reckon they were looking at a green screen, which later added these variations of all the famous artwork, but with the master on them.
But wait, I just like the idea that...
That's not Rasputin, that's the master.
Yeah, no.
What? That's the master now.
How many paintings before they went, this keeps happening, it's really fucking weird, let's call the Doctor. And they're all baffled for ages. The Doctor arrives and goes, no, that's the master. And everyone goes, oh, well, it kind of makes sense now.
Now you mention it, it is a bit strange that all these different artists
Across
across hundreds of years were all painting Rasputin.
some of that idiot would do. Oh, God.
Classic master.
Fucking... Oh.
Anyway, next up, we get our classic...
Wait, can we also just explain, as funny as it was, as ridiculous as it was, it also has no fucking bearing on anything. It never comes up again. It's never mentioned again.
The shrunk geologist wasn't even needed because...
Yeah. There's so much just waste. Especially in, the first half an hour. The first half an hour just... Oh,
let's continue the scene here. So, from this point, we've looked at all our paintings. Presumably, the actors and actresses haven't seen these paintings, which would later be created in editing post-filming. We then immediately cut to a special broadcast on the very screen they're looking at, where it's the Master now giving a lecture, like as if he's Brian Cox or something, saying, "Ha-ha, I'm the bad man. I've got all the geologists. Here I am. Come and get me. Arrest me." Now we get to something that really upset me, and it harkens back to Chibnall's complete misunderstanding of the Doctor's no-gun policy.
This really annoyed me as well. It's a bit.
Yes, so the scene that happens next, near enough, I don't know, we probably went back to Siberia 2 or 3 times before we got to this point. But here we are, modern-day short-haired Master is giving a lecture to lots of little toy geologists. The Doctor comes in shortly after a small speech in which the Master says, "Aha, I've got you
I'm
now.
gonna kill you.
Gonna get you.
Gonna do you."
Lots of unit men come in. They all have guns. The Doctor goes, "All right, I'm real mad now. Someone give Yaz a gun."
Yeah, like it just made the Doctor look like such a fucking hypocrite.
You know what this reminds me of? There are...
That time I got you to bring a gun into the house?
No, we don't talk about that.
Okay.
Or Jared. We never talk about them again.
Jared had it come in.
Okay. The next wonderful part. What happens here? Chibnall's understanding of Doctor's no-gun policy is the Doctor can't be the one holding the gun. But haha, loophole. The Doctor will just tell people to shoot people.
Yeah.
This is no different to the rules behind Thor's hammer in Marvel, right?
Right.
Throughout the comics,
The Doctor
you can only...
worthy to hold a gun.
Yes, the Doctor isn't worthy to hold the gun. No, only someone who's worthy can hold the hammer. And there have been various different times when someone who is not worthy has somehow held the hammer. And as an example, I can't remember who it is for the life of me. I'm sure it's Dr. Von Doom or something. But their loophole to holding Thor's hammer, or it might have been someone else, please forgive me, Marvel lore nerds. Dr. Von Doom is able to wield Thor's hammer by wielding the severed arm of a Thor who can hold the hammer. And at that point, he's technically not holding the hammer. It's no different to the Doctor's technically not holding a gun. She's just ordered Yaz, who was at firearms training apparently, which really needed putting in the script.
She is a police officer. Or she was a copper.
Yeah, so it's perfectly natural for her to point a gun at an unarmed black man. Let's...
Oh, Eve, no.
That's what happened. What? That's not a commentary on anything.
Okay, that's the podcast, everyone. See you next week.
Oh, Christ, we're cancelled already. At this point, the Doctor and gun pointing directly at Master Yaz hop into the TARDIS with none of the other soldiers, so that they can quickly be teleported from the geologist lecture hall directly into Unit HQ, where the Master can be taken to a cell. The Master's now in a cell.
I got serious. It was that annoying mid-2000s trope that started with The Dark Knight of part of my plan is being captured. And I just thought, I can see this shit coming a mile away. But I don't even think it's executed that well. I feel like the Master's just doing things to irritate. And it starts off with the Master doing things to irritate the Doctor by... editing himself into famous paintings.
Oh, it gets so much worse. There's one very specific thing that just absolutely riles me.
Oh, go on.
We'll get there when we get to the Master breaking out of his cell.
It's bad. Like, up until the good bit, I don't remember much of it. Even though I've got semi-extensive notes next to me, I don't remember a lot of the first half an hour of this episode. Like, I'm recalling it as you're telling me.
Yeah.
But it's unmemorable. It's just unmemorable, messy. It don't make a lot of sense. There's no connective tissue, I don't feel. Like, a good story like this can work where there's lots of quick cuts to different things going on, but there needs to be drive and connective tissue. The Doctor's just getting phone calls going, I need your help. And the Doctor's just like, I've got a lot on at the minute. And they're like, no, I really need you. And the Doctor's like, oh, okay, well, I'll drop Barry the fucking Dalek that appeared in the TARDIS and go look at some paintings that have been edited.
That's all right. Let's go back to the timeline here, and let's lead to the point where we see something else interesting, which relates to the TARDIS, or TARDI/TARDISes.
TARDISes.
So, after our good master, possibly before, it's hard to keep track.
Oh, God.
After the master is put in a cell within UNIT, we head on over to Cyber TARDIS Moon back in 1916.
Oh,
and now we land the TARDIS, only to find that, hang on, is that another TARDIS?
Yeah.
Tell us about this TARDIS, Dan.
So this was from the fucking trailer, the annoying,
The ha-ha-ha
the
TARDIS.
insufferable Joker TARDIS.
Yes, with a TARDIS with ha-ha-ha-ha written instead of police public call.
Public call. And it was just like, oh, really? We're doing that? Piss off, Chibnalls.
And this isn't even a dream. This is the TARDIS owned by the master here, that also has the blue box design, and he must have specially had that sign commissioned to go on the front of it there, because you can't just make one of those signs. You got to get a sign specialist.
I'd love to see the master going to giving his design to the
Signs
carpenter or
Direct
whatever.
on the local corner.
Signs Direct. And the guy
Is it
going,
just how many copies of this
Just-
sign do you need
just
making?
with a token.
Just the one.
oh, like the Joker. No, not like the Joker. It's different. It's a different ha-ha-ha.
Yes, we'll be
Just the
using a
master-
different font, and I'm going to name the font here and be. We're going to use Calibri Body, and everyone who is a font nerd is going to correct me now, saying, "Idiot, that's not Calibri Body. That's Calibri Light Bold, 70 point."
It's actually Times New Roman.
It was not. That's a sans serif font. I thought you'd be able to tell the difference, Dan. I'm disappointed with you. We go inside this TARDIS. This is the Master's TARDIS, which annoyingly adds to our upcoming list where we rank off all of the TARDISes, because we've got an extra one now. This is a remodelling of Whittaker's TARDIS, only they changed the lights on the RGB and they put some stuff in the middle.
It's purple.
Pebble.
Purple.
It is a distinct, visually different TARDIS on the inside, even if it's clearly a remodelling of the existing set.
Yeah. Spoilers for our rank off video. I didn't like that it was just a remodeled existing set. But.
Well, they weren't going to make an entire new TARDIS, were they? And at the same time, they had to make this TARDIS look the same on the outside because idiot viewers wouldn't be able to comprehend that a TARDIS can look like anything. So they had to make this TARDIS also have the police call box design. I can accept that the Master might do something like that. But just to get to a major plot point here, the most important thing about this TARDIS's existence is when entering it and looking into its centre, the Doctor notes that the core of this TARDIS goes all the way into the centre of the planet. This Cyber Moon is also a TARDIS in itself, and it can travel in time and space.
Right. My big note on this is the other day we were thinking of things we could do for the podcast and other lists we can do. But beyond how the sausage is made for you listeners there. And you came and he was like, "Oh, do you know about this, The Ancestor Cell?" And that's a book where the Doctor's TARDIS explodes, but it becomes a big thing that
It becomes a bone TARDIS.
it becomes a giant bone flower up thing.
Possibly what the TARDIS really looks like when it isn't trying to be something, expanding almost infinitely out in many directions.
No, it's just a tube.
Oh, okay.
That's what a naked TARDIS looks like. But no, it basically just engulfs Gallifrey. Basically, it just becomes a big thing over Gallifrey that's looming anonymous. Why not just rip off the fucking books? It's not like Doctor Who's never ripped off its own books before.
Dan, you're implying Chibnall read any of the books.
I know he has.
I'm not sure he has.
Ah,
I think he read the wikis for some of the books.
what? Just why be like, oh, it's a cyber moon, which sounds stupid. It sounds something I would have come up with as a 6-year-old.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there like Chibnall did, because we're now back in Siberia. No, wait, no, we're not. We're in modern times.
Oh, God.
And we have teleported to a volcano where the Doctor is meeting up with Barry the Dalek. Barry the Dalek goes, you can have all the information.
Yeah,
Here
just
you go.
download it.
Thanks for the information. Then some other Daleks go, idiot, we knew you were doing
We
this.
knew what you were doing, you son
Then
of
they
a bitch.
absolutely fucking murder this Dalek. But in a way that the Doctor can sit in it like it's a wheelchair.
Yeah, they opened up the Barry's shell and they blasted the mutant inside.
Yeah.
Which
Poor
was,
little guy.
Yeah, poor Barry.
Anyway, he got fucking ashed off screen, and then
He got fucking murked, didn't it?
yeah. So now our lovely Whittaker Doctor here, I'm having to call them that because oh boy, we've got more Doctors in this episode. Let's get to the plan, and then we can move on to some of the more interesting scenes involving Doctors.
It's not even a plan. It's just the Master standing around being a twat.
Right.
Ah.
Now the Doctor, Whittaker Doctor, has been captured and is inside a Dalek suit.
Yeah.
But, like, not fully closed. It's more like the fun Peter Capaldi wearing the bottom half of a Dalek.
It's like a Davros.
But much less fun, because they're kidnapped.
Like
We're now taken into one of the big, nice buildings in...
That set was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll give them... Do you know what?
One of the big, old, nice, beautiful buildings in, I think, Russia. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. And there we have the Doctor in the centre of the room, the Master being oh such a cocky boy, surrounded by Cybermen and Daleks who presumably the set designers didn't need to put actors in because they remain completely
They did
stationary
not, they-
for the rest of the episode. That noise is Dan pushing in a blood vessel that almost came out of his eye.
You had like a room, it was full of Daleks and Cybermen. The Master's there as Rasputin, great. The Daleks and Cybermen might as well have just not fucking been there. They didn't say anything, they had no thoughts, there was no Dalek leader or Cyberman leader going, actually, Master, we're going to kill the Doctor.
We've got both of you now, Zap. The Daleks win.
There was nothing like that. The Daleks and the Cybermen were just stationary objects. You know, they might as well have just been action. I was so annoyed. I was like, no, why are they playing second fiddle to the Master?
Of
They were
course,
seen
now
as an inferior being.
now we're at a point where
We can have a musical number in Doctor Who.
yes, we get our musical number. The Master now victorious points his little toy into the air, and we actually get the Ra Ra Rasputin song playing, disco lights, and the Master dancing. And I want to start here, Dan. I can accept that. I can be okay with that.
Yeah.
I am happy with a flamboyant,
Yeah.
ridiculous Doctor, even if they're kind of just going, let's make our Master like Moriarty is in Sherlock. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with bits of comedy like this. A dance number,
Absolutely.
that's very tonally different. I'm okay with it because Doctor Who is a family show. It has its little fun moments. I don't want to say Doctor Who's for kids or for babies, but it's designed with everyone in mind.
And Doctor Who can be silly at times.
But, however, it didn't earn it because up to this point, which seems more like an anniversary episode-esque series cliffhanger big deal, I'm sure we're only 20 minutes into the episode and we have this dance number. It wasn't earned. A lot of epic moments in this episode were not earned, and that's what really takes the gusto out of it.
Yeah, no. It was. Oh God, I'm speechless by how bad, how poorly mishandled. Specifically, the first half an hour. Really, it was just fucking mess. It was literally like. It was like when I was a kid, or if I'd been a kid and I'd had loads of Doctor Who toys. It was something together. It was that for half an hour. It was just.
And you've got two different Master action figures.
Yeah,
You've got long-haired
one with
one
a
and
beard,
short-haired
one without a beard. Oh, this one's in modern day, and this one's fucking in the past. I've been doing Rasputin at school in history. Oh, it looks like my Master figure. Fuck off!
Oh. Right, let's continue in this timeline just for consistency's sake and not flop back for a moment. The Master has two little cells It's the fly. We've got two little
It's just two cubes. Two big rectangles.
glass cubes so we can see who's inside of them.
Yep.
The Master's plan here is to use the entire Cyber Moon TARDIS and the little girl that's actually sentient energy, which was exposited out in 10 seconds by the Doctor about what that was, just because Chibnall, I guess, needed something with incredible energy to just simply exist.
Chibnall bad.
The Master's plan now is to to make a forced regeneration happen. That's one thing, okay? Yep. Forcing the Doctor regenerate. But given that there's potential for memory loss and personality shift with regeneration, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's going to happen in a bit of a weird way because there's another box that the Master's in, and this forced regeneration is going to somehow, and it does, make Whittaker Doctor regenerate into the Master.
And the Master...
And now it's not the Doctor now, is it? It's the Master inhabiting what used to be the Doctor's body, which has never been what a regeneration has been. He hasn't regenerated. What he's done is he's put his brain inside the Doctor, but we've called it a regeneration.
I also love that just in the background of every scene in that room for the rest of the episode, you see the Master's old Rasputin body just sort of flopped against the wall of
it needs to stay there for later use.
Of course.
You know what else is also flopped there? Lifeless. All the Daleks.
Yeah, they just don't do anything or say anything.
Yes.
At least, in fact, the fucking when the Master comes out and he's wearing like Jodie Whittaker's clothes and he's just like, he goes to the Daleks and right, because their portion of the plan is do all the volcanoes in the world and it'll kill all the humans. You can have it. And the Master comes out, he's wearing Jodie Whittaker's clothes. He looked fabulous, by the way. Fucking...
So that was fun, seeing the Doctor wearing all of Jodie... Sorry, not the Master Doctor wearing all of Whittaker's clothes.
We'll get...
That was fun on its own.
We'll get to
it gets better, but we'll get there.
It gets so much better. The Master comes out with his little cubes. Yaz is horrified, like, oh, what's going on with the Doctor? And he's like, I'm the Doctor now, bitch.
But he's being an absolute bastard while he's at it.
I've found him to be incredibly... When he was being captured and he was just chatting shit to all the unit soldiers, I've just found him incredibly insufferable. And not... The Master can be insufferable, but I wanted to punch him to make him stop talking. I was like, you insufferable twat, shut the fuck up.
Anyway...
But when he comes out of the glass cube, he's just incredibly camp and funny, and he's like, I've won, darlings, aren't I magnificent?
Okay.
And he turns to the Daleks, he's like, right, do the volcanoes now.
Yes, but that's okay. That's okay. So what we have next as well is the Doctor, Master Doctor, getting into the TARDIS with Yaz, and they do a little TARDIS teleport to Space Moon, and the TARDIS door peeks open. And who pops their head out of the TARDIS door? It's the Master Doctor. What is he wearing?
He's wearing this wonderful outfit that's got like a piece of almost every Doctor's clothes. He's got like, let's see, he's got David Tennant's tie, Sylvester McCoy's jumper, Tom Baker's scarf, Peter Davison's fucking celery on the lapel. I think he's got...
He's got Whittaker's jacket on.
Yeah, he's got Whittaker's jacket on.
And probably William Hartnell's pants.
He's got William Hartnell's pants.
Underwear, yeah.
I think... No, the actual trousers.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Well, whose underwear is he wearing?
Peter Capaldi's.
Peter Capaldi's underwear, right.
I think Matt Smith's boots.
I can't wait.
And he's got the second Doctor's recorder in his pocket. I fucking loved that. That was perfect.
It was a wonderful visual, and it's totally something the Master would do.
Yeah.
This fun, ridiculous, flamboyant Master we have. That was just hilarious, and I can't wait to see cosplay of that, of people that have done a cosplay convention as every Doctor and have gone, hang on, now I've got an excuse to wear all of the Doctor outfits at once.
I don't have to choose which Doctor I'm going as now.
I can go instead as the Master Doctor.
I can go as every Doctor at once. I loved it.
I'm calling that costume the All the Doctors costume outfit.
The one
it might not be all of them, but it basically is.
It's the Dalai Lama pizza of Doctor's outfits.
Wow.
The one with everything.
Now,
Fuck you, that was a good joke.
that's okay. We now need to... Oh, this is exhausting.
Oh, God, yeah.
Let's head back over to... Okay, no. Please bear with me here. It's very difficult. Yaz basically goes, oh, I'm going to fuck off in the TARDIS now, Master. And the Master just sits there cross-legged. You'll be back, idiot.
Like a CM Punk pipe bomb.
And yes, and what we have here is... it may be the first significant scene of a companion just fully by themselves controlling the TARDIS. Yeah. Now, they have a big instruction manual and post-it notes, because of course they do.
Of course they do.
I can accept that a companion can eventually learn to control the TARDIS.
She's been a companion canonically for 5 years, so yeah, I can do that.
And they have agency and the ability to make decisions.
Yeah.
Be so much easier if the Doctor could make all of those decisions for them and everyone else in the episode. But anyway, what's going to happen here is Yaz is going to flop about a bit in time, and we're going to head back over to 2020 London. And what we have is our unit building.
Yeah.
Our unit building
is under attack by the Cybermen.
So it's under lockdown.
Yeah.
Right?
Lethal lockdown.
And the companions and the previous companions, Ace, Tegan, and our old pal Kate
Lethbridge-Stewart,
are just having a wee chat. And oh look, the Master, he's got his own little video feed that has two-way audio that apparently he can just make work. And he goes, "Oh, well, you've caught me now, haven't you? Oh, you should put down the little Cyberman toy I gave you earlier. I knew you'd keep it with you because you're sentimental and all that. Anyway,
I could unshrink it.
I could unshrink the Cyberman, and it unshrinks into
an army of Cybermen,
into a Russian doll.
Yeah,
Cyberman. It unshrinks, and then the Cyberman's face opens, and lots of Cybermen come out of it.
Yeah,
the same thing that happened with Daleks.
Yeah.
In that other one, at the end of Billy Piper time.
The end of her reign of tyranny. There's a lot of borrowed imagery across and story points across Chibnalls' bad reign of Doctor Who.
Oh. Anyway, Cybermen attacking the building now. We've even got Hugo Cyberman.
Ashad.
Yes, Ashad comes out and Terminators his way.
I was going to say...
In a very cool scene.
Yeah.
Where he just guns down all those crew member 1s and crew member 2s.
Yeah, he's just beating the shit out of a load of hapless extras. Which is fucking... It was cool. It was cool. For Doctor Who's not really known for its high-energy action scenes. But that was pretty cool. I'll give... Yeah.
Yeah, he gets down to the... To the prison cell where the Master is. He blows open in a single shot not only the prison bars but the Master's shackles, his little hand things. The Master then gets out the cell, takes a piece of the cell bars, and this is he smashes a little thing on the wall that has hidden inside it his little control doodad for the energy signal people.
Oh God, yeah, Jesus.
That was hiding in there all along.
How long's it been there? Who put it there?
I would assume that 100 years ago, when this building was being constructed, he paid someone off to put it there so that when he gets captured...
Just like in that Doctor Who spoof with Rowan Atkinson.
Yes.
I bribed the architect.
I bribed the architect with an even bigger bribe before you did.
I also bribed the architect.
Aha, but there is a trapdoor underneath you.
But I built in a couch. I bribed the architect to put a couch in.
Wow.
Anyway.
The Master's back in charge now in the unit building. To be clear, this is modern day Master, not old day Master.
Not Rasputin Master.
That's currently now a Doctor Master.
That's currently a Doctor Master.
Sweet mother of... Anyway, now the building is under siege from the inside. Ooh, a subversion of stuff.
Chibnall doesn't know how warfare works.
So now we cut to the only three named characters in the unit building, all trapped in a room by themselves. Now, luckily, Ace, who's worked here for 17 minutes, has a secret floorboard hidden underneath them in the room they happen to be in, which doesn't even look like anyone's office. It looks like an open plan main office.
Yeah, it looks like a meeting room.
Maybe I will suspend my disbelief and assume that room is also considered to be their safe room in the event of emergency.
That room, just coincidentally, looked like the room that every meeting that could have been an email took place in. That looked like that room.
Absolutely, don't we? I know that all too well. But yeah, inside that floorboard, what do we have? We have some... do we just have 2 big machine guns? Do we have 2 big stun guns? Well, we do have that. But we also have Ace's classic fan service jacket, Ace's Omega Power baseball bat, and some other little treats, including some parachutes.
I loved and hated that. I loved Ace getting the jacket.
I liked her in the jacket, yeah.
I loved her, like, with a big bag full of explosives and a baseball bat. The nostalgia drug that kicked in my brain there overrode the angry logical part of my brain that said, that doesn't even make sense. It did not make sense, but I still loved it. That's all I have to say about that.
What happens next is Tegan, they make a plan. Ace is going to the roof so that Ace
if
can...
only Chibnall would have made a plan.
So that Ace can parachute off of the building and do something question
yeah,
mark.
there was the something, jump off a building with a parachute, something,
question mark, profit.
We defeat the Cybermen.
Yes. Now, before we go back to that, Tegan gets in an elevator shaft, because Tegan's going to do a die hard to get to the basement.
Yep.
So that's going to happen. Let's start with Tegan's adventure from here, and then we'll go over to Ace's adventure. So Tegan's adventure is to do a die hard down an old sort of elevator shaft kind of thing.
And then...
While sliding down, Kate offers to give themselves up and be converted in exchange for letting everyone else go. And on the promise of the Cybermen saying, yeah, all right then, she gives herself up and wanders down. While she's being escorted down the stairs, the one named Cyberman just happens to hear Tegan in the walls going, ouch, because she slipped slightly on a ladder.
Right next to them.
Yes. So while Tegan now is on the way down the ladder, we just have that one scene where the Terminator walks through a wall with his hands, but outside of the elevator shaft in all directions at once. All just trying to grab her with their hands before she just slips all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Where she finds the main server room. The room that's controlling all of the Daleks.
All the Cybermen.
That is, all of the Cybermen. That is like one of those, for the IT people here, like a 56U server chassis. 2 of them. And there's, oh my god, some of the best cable management you've ever seen. There are barely any cables in this thing.
Oh, wait. We need... No, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
No, we are.
No, we are getting way ahead of ourselves because we're missing the good bits. We're missing out the really...
I thought we were just doing Tegan's adventure.
Oh, no, because before that, she has like a tete-a-tete with the Doctor.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So before everyone went in the separate ways, the Doctor was like hitting people and they were getting static shock.
Oops, I'm very staticky today.
And then we're like, oh, that's weird. But then nothing gets said about it, and then they all go their separate ways. And
yes.
Blah 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 blah. So after the Doctor's been had a body taken over by the Master, we're like, oh shit, what happens to the Doctor? When Yasmin goes in the TARDIS, she... like a fucking hologram of the Doctor appears.
Yeah, so the Doctor planned to create a hologram of the Doctor. Again, something Rick and Morty has done.
To like on
I'm
the event
dead now. I'm here because I'm dead.
Yeah, and the use of the hologram is quite good because it's kind of like a ghost, which will also be somewhat more meaningful a little bit later on. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
So yeah, all 3 of our companions, Yaz, Tegan, and Ace, have been shocked.
Shocked.
Not only that now, but they've been given a little nanomachine, son, that makes this hologram appear near them of the Doctor, including an AI that responds how the Doctor would respond.
Yeah.
And this is very important because none of these companions are allowed to make their own decisions. The Doctor must come up with all the ideas.
Right. In terms of plot and story, it's bollocks because it does rob certain characters of agency. But in terms of certain things that happen later, it's very. I thought it was very lovely.
It's fun. There were some nice moments. Let's
the
back
ghost
to Tegan. I think we'll do Tegan's interpretation of the joke.
Because it will.
No, we won't.
So so Yaz is like, oh, so the Doctor helped her pilot the TARDIS, and like, oh, what happened to you? And then the Doctor's like, oh, I don't know. Then you cut away to the Doctor's consciousness, and she's in like a fucking desert.
Yeah, we can do the Doctor's conscious now.
Because you kind of need it because it comes first, but it also it sets things up later.
Yes.
So the Doctor's
a Whittaker Doctor.
The Whittaker Doctor
is in a space desert.
Conscious is a space desert near a cliff, and there's a telephone pole for some reason.
Yeah, it's a crossroads where all the Doctors meet, and where Whittaker needs to pass themselves on to hand the torch over to the next Doctor. But who is sat by the telephone pole?
It's the first Doctor, but he's wearing like these Gallifreyan robes. All the Doctors, barring one, are wearing these Gallifreyan robes.
Yes.
And they have like a conversation, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, where am I?" And the first Doctor's like, "Well, this is what happens when you regenerate. You come here, blah 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 blah." And then the first Doctor becomes the sixth Doctor, and he's also wearing these robes, and they have a really nice conversation about passing on and don't worry about what you did; it's who you're going to be. Then the sixth Doctor becomes the seventh Doctor, and he's also wearing these little robes, and they have this wonderful, nice little moment. And then the eighth Doctor arrives, and he's just in his regular outfit, and Jodie Whittaker goes, "Why are you wearing the robes?" "Oh, I don't wear robes."
I don't do robes.
I just thought it was
McGann Doctor, just the only one not wearing robes. It was beautiful there, seeing the old Doctors.
It was absolutely lovely.
Yes, and our Whittaker Doctor here goes, you're here for a reason, because there's always something we can do. And that something we can do is somehow predict that I was going to die at some point, and implant hologram AIs into the TARDIS, and know to poke my companions with it before I die, knowing something would happen, despite this scene sort of happening after, but I guess the consciousness is intertwined between all of the Doctors. It's very complicated, because you have to allow yourself to... You have to allow yourself to accept that wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey is a thing, and these things can happen. But I can accept the Doctor as being such an intelligent being that they would create an AI with their consciousness in it for emergencies like this.
I also love the thought that somewhere in the Doctor's head are literally all their previous selves just watching events like the fucking Ghost Princes, if you've ever seen Stardust, just commenting on events.
There's other medias that use this quite a bit that I've seen, where your previous consciousnesses all are still present. One escapes mind. My Hero Academia is an anime that does it.
Okay.
It's interesting to see scenes that here are all your past selves.
Yeah.
You know, we can all have a nice chat.
And I enjoy that. I also enjoy Paul McGann's refusal to wear robes.
In a wonderful scene here where we get to see some classic Doctors here, and much needed McGann. And he's looking good.
He looks like he has barely aged.
This leads to the Doctor creating this AI ghost hologram thing that's been implanted into the companions. Tegan, Ace, Yaz all have one. Yaz's companion, Yaz's hologram, helps them pilot the TARDIS into a scene which will cut into Ace's thing, which we will discuss later.
Yeah.
Tegan.
So Tegan's
doing a Die Hard.
She's hiding from the Cybermen, and then the Doctor, the 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, appears behind her like one of these hologram ghosts, and is like trying to help, but they don't really have that connection. And then the hologram morphs into the 5th Doctor, played by Peter Davison in like his old costume.
Yes, Tegan's Doctor.
And I found it very me personally. I found it very touching when they have a conversation about you didn't blah blah blah. All right, if you really are my Doctor, what am I thinking about right now? And he just says Adric, which was their friend, part of their little TARDIS team, who died fighting the Cybermen. So it kind of makes, and it's just it hit
It's
me.
a traumatic moment for Tegan, isn't it? Of course.
It hit me in the feels. So it did.
So it did. We get a Die Hard.
How did you feel about that? As someone who kind of likes Doctor Who, but like maybe
It
not.
wasn't around for the classic times either, really.
Yeah.
So, I'm not surprised that happens, but it's because I think I've seen it in a lot of media.
Yeah.
Of course, it would change its form to be, more relevant to the person speaking to it. It was, I think, a nice moment. We get it again with Ace, and I think that one was probably nicer, I think. But we'll get to people appearing in volcanoes very shortly.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yes. Tegan does a Die Hard down, and before we rightfully digressed into explaining Hologram Doctor, the first of many Hologram Doctor, Whittaker Hologram Doctor, we get to the server room, which is not very much computers, and the Doctor hologram is going to walk Tegan through unplugging some shit.
Yeah.
The series of unplugging some of these Ethernet cables, much like the ones in the back of your router. There was one last cable.
No.
Really,
It was just one cable.
it was an orange one. An orange Cat 5e cable.
You identified the cable, which briefly made me think you were a Time
That's
Lord.
all Ethernet cables look like that. Okay. The act of pulling this out is a Deus Ex Machina that stops Kate getting converted because it causes all of the Cybermen to immediately go, oh no, I've disconnected from the internet.
Oh, we're dead.
When our internet disconnects, I don't know about you, but my laptop definitely immediately explodes and ceases to function and causes static electric shocks.
It was... I remember watching it and thinking... They made it more dramatic because as Tegan was about to pull the wire out, a Cyberman punched through the wall behind her, grabbed her, and she was like flailing for it.
Mr. X in Resident Evil 2. The wall that you could be sure was just 5 meters thick concrete, of course, has a Cyberman arm punch through right where Tegan is, grabs all, pulls them, the last cable comes out, and they all immediately just...
Eve keeps saying the last cable. There was only one cable pulling, which makes it even more fucking wonderful bollocks. Like she was frantically pulling out loads of different cables. No, she was like, which one is it?
It was a really well cable. It was the orange one.
Which cable is it? Which cable is it? Cyberman punch grab, and she's flailing, and she pulls out one cable, and all the Cybermen just die.
Oh, yes. While that's happening, Ace jumps off a building.
Yeah.
While jumping off the building and parachuting down, some Cybermen who are inside the building go, "No, you bloody don't," and start zapping at her. Pew, pew, pew. Through the glass open windows.
Pew, pew,
Pew, pew, pew.
pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew, pew. And then what is quite a fun shot.
It was a perfect shot.
As that parachute is gliding down to the ground, for I don't know what possible reason she could have for jumping off the
No,
building.
the plan, if you remember, the plan was jump off the building, something, defeat the Cybermen.
Yes.
Perfect plan.
Anyway, as she's falling presumably to her death, a Yaz and Hologram Doctor piloted TARDIS appears beneath them.
It materialises beneath Ace.
Woohoo!
In midair, the doors open and Ace just perfectly falls safely into the TARDIS.
And Ace is now in the TARDIS. You piloted the TARDIS. I never got to pilot the TARDIS. And now we need to cut back to something we've glossed over. Because there's someone else in this TARDIS.
Oh, fuck.
Earlier on in the show... Earlier on in the show, a wormhole opened up over the space moon, the space cyber moon, and out came... who came out?
A guy from last year's season called The Flux, and the guy's called Vinder. He was a character who was hurriedly created because it was originally going to be Captain Jack Harkness, but John Barrowman got cancelled for putting his penis on people, which is apparently you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. I got in a lot of trouble for that.
Got in a lot of trouble.
Me too.
But yeah, so the Chris Chibnall created this character and liked him so much that he just randomly plopped him into this episode. I will say, if you took Vinda out of this episode, fucking nothing would change.
Much like many characters in this episode.
Yes, unfortunately.
Vinda's also now in the TARDIS. Vinda gets picked up by Yaz at an early point, unbeknown to the Master, who's now in the TARDIS. Vinda's in the back with a gun, just waiting.
No, that happens later.
Oh, this episode.
Yeah, there are a few really good bits. The Doctor crossroads.
We've grabbed Ace. Ace, we're off to a volcano. I need you to go beat up some Daleks in a volcano, while me and Vinda do something else.
We're gonna shoot the Master in the face.
We're gonna go shoot the Master. That'd have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we now continue, seeing as it's thematic, with the adventures of Ace, Ace's hologram doctor, and someone else Ace meets in the volcano in Bolivia.
Right. So Ace is in. She's got a baseball bat. She's got one job, and that's stop the Daleks from blowing up the volcanoes.
Yeah, that is the plan.
And then she's figuring out how to do that, and suddenly the 13th Doctor appears as a hologram.
It's hologram doctor time.
And they have a conversation. They don't really relate. Bing, fizz, whoop. The 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, turns into Sylvester McCoy, Hair Doctor. Growing up, Sylvester McCoy was probably my favourite Doctor, so this was huge for me. And I'll probably won't lie. I don't know if you noticed, but I shed a little manly tear at this.
Just a fun fact, Sylvester McCoy is on Cameo. You can pay Sylvester McCoy to send you a personalised message.
Or you could do that for me for Christmas.
Nope.
Alright, okay. Wow, brutal.
Nope, you'll be getting a message from Nigel Farage, who's also on Cameo. And will charge considerably more.
Yeah, so McCoy... I'd appreciate the McCoy one more. I mean, Farage will have nothing good to say about me whatsoever.
Sylvester McCoy has a lovely conversation.
No, because Ace is the only televised companion that never really got farewell. Her last scene on television was just the Doctor and Ace walking off into the distance with a voiceover on the last ever episode of classic Doctor Who. Sylvester McCoy reappeared at the beginning of the 1996 TV movie with Paul McGann, but by himself. So there was no... In the books and in audios, there's been unofficial, this is how they parted ways, but nothing concrete. There were kind of hints to it in this episode, but nothing super, and they just had this really sweet moment of, we're still friends, and the Doctor's like, of course we are. It was very sweet, and I was very, very pleased with it.
That was a nice moment.
Yeah. I think the second or third best moment of the episode.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
My first being all the Doctor's Master. The Master wearing all the Doctor's outfits. That was just hilarious.
My favourite moment still hasn't happened in the episode yet.
Okay.
But we'll get to...
Is your favourite moment what follows? Where Ace... sneaking around the volcano.
Wait, we're forgetting what else happens in the volcano. Out of motherfucking nowhere, with no explanation, Graham, played by Bradley. I was glad he was in the episode.
That's exactly where I was headed.
Oh right,
yeah,
I thought he was...
Absolutely.
Oh, right,
she's sneaking around the volcano,
right.
and we're going to need extra people in the story. Bradley Walsh Graham is in the volcano in Bolivia, and I'm sorry if it's not Bolivia, it was one of the other many volcanoes. They're sneaking around looking for the Daleks who are doing a bad thing in this volcano. And Bradley Walsh is there. We don't know how he got to Bolivia or why he came alone. He didn't get there by TARDIS, that's for sure. What did he take? The train? How did he know to come to this volcano? His plan was literally to beat the Daleks. And this is revealed to us as Bradley Walsh, who not knowing Oasis and Ace not knowing who they are, holds up psychic paper. We get a funny scene here
Yeah, it's quite
where
funny.
Bradley Walsh is claiming with the psychic paper that he's a volcano inspector. Right? The psychic paper, of course, doesn't work on Ace, who reads off of the psychic paper exactly what's actually happening. But Bradley Walsh is here to stop the Daleks somehow in this volcano.
And
It's a nice way to diffuse immediately and let Ace know immediately that this person is friendly and on your side.
Yeah.
That's a funny way to do that.
Yeah.
It ignores how did Bradley Walsh get into the volcano.
It completely ignores everything.
What was he filming Tipping Point in a volcano or something? Right, or maybe he's just out scouting for sets for future episodes of Tipping Point. What's that other thing? Does he do the chase?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does the chase
Yeah.
too. Maybe he really, really pissed off one of the chasers.
And he was hiding.
And he was hiding. And he
He
just
was hiding
happened to
from-
think, I'll go where the chasers will never find me. A volcano in Bolivia.
He was hiding from Mark the
A
Beast.
very active volcano, and inside of it. They then go beat up a Dalek.
Yeah. Ace in her original run, she used to carry a baseball bat and cans of explosive that she'd make herself.
She was a cool punk of the time.
Yeah, she was a badass. I love Ace. But her baseball bat was augmented by a Time Lord super weapon, and she beat the shit out of a Dalek with it. And
Yes.
she did so again in this episode.
Yes,
And
it
then-
was wonderful. Also,
Yeah.
Bradley helped.
Yeah, also Bradley Walsh was there.
Yes, Graham, as played by Bradley Walsh, attached something to the Dalek that also fucking murdered it. But it's not a gun, so it's okay.
Yeah. I've been
I don't know what happens next.
No, I can't
What,
remember.
what do they do in the volcano next?
They blow up the big Dalek drill or something, but it's too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they didn't need to be there. Just like Bradley Walsh didn't need to be there. The Daleks didn't need to be there. Because you could have had all of this take place. This entire episode could have taken place without ever needing the Daleks. Don't get me wrong. The reason for coming to the volcano was the suspicious meeting location that Barry the Dalek wanted to meet with
Yeah.
the Doctor. And the volcanoes needed to be a worldwide threat. But how do you stop the worldwide threat? Well, you needed a big planet to...
The Doctor. So
We'll get
the
We'll get there. There's just there's so much that didn't need to happen. The giant cyber moon didn't need to happen either. It could have just been a normal TARDIS, and you could have just not had volcanoes. It's also
It's a mess.
this isn't working. Control F, replace unique villain. Replace unique villain's name with Dalek.
Yeah.
Print.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of because it's all over the place.
It is a huge. It's a mess. It's a mess.
So, what happens next then to bring it all back together? We need to head.
Back to 18.
We need to. Yes, we need to head back to 1916/1918.
Oh, that's it. Yaz.
Where Yaz has now with Jack Barrowman too. What's his name?
Vinda Pinder.
It's
just Vinda.
Vinda.
Pinder.
Vinda's now on the TARDIS hiding. Yaz goes back to the space moon where the Master is, and she's like, "I'm sorry, Master, but
Yeah,
you're the Doctor, so come on in, let's be friends."
She fakes contrition.
She fakes having. What's that thing prisoners get where they fall in love with their captors?
Beauty and the Beast syndrome.
No, it's
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm, basically. I'm sorry, Doctor. Maybe I'll get it soon. Come back aboard, and let's go back to 1918.
Sauce, I left you here without a snack or toilet paper.
Sorry. Anyway, let's go back to 1918 so we can meet up with the Cybermen and Daleks that are in your control. That are good. Daleks also have gone for a wander at this point. They're not in this scene. Okay, Yaz and Master Doctor get out of the TARDIS. Haha, what's this? Behind Master TARDIS, it's Vinda, and he's pointing a gun.
I got you, you son of a bitch.
Aha, you can't use that. Yes, I can, because of reasons. And then the Master spins round.
Right round like a record.
Yes, but then suddenly, The Doctor walks in.
But it's Jesus, I forgot
It's
about this.
hologram Doctor.
It's
hologram of a fugitive Doctor.
thank you. Yeah, fugitive
Which
Doctor.
does make sense in the timeline of all the hologram must having previous Doctor memories, but that must mean that the previous Doctor memory hologram must have been created after the Doctor's knowledge of the fugitive Doctor existing, so it must have been recently. Sigh. Then we get this wonderful scene where, like a badass, and the fugitive Doctor, I don't know the actress's name,
Joe Martin.
Jo Martin, I think could play a wonderful badass Doctor.
Yeah.
Right, because like a badass,
She wasn't taking any shit, was she?
not taking shit. Stands right in between of all the Cybermen, and just like Luke goddamn Skywalker, stands right there, and all of them, the Master goes, shoot her.
Kill
And
her.
all the Cybermen all shoot her. They did not check if it was a hologram. And maybe, just maybe, of the millions of viewers watching, maybe one or two of them thought that actually was the fugitive Doctor. Especially after Yaz telegraphed something to do with the hologram right before that scene.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 people thought it was a genuine Doctor. All the Cybermen, after firing on the hologram, continue firing on the hologram. And in a perfect circle, shoot all themselves. And now we have hologram Doctor surrounded by a circle of Cybermasters.
Oh,
I'm sorry I said it out loud.
I cringe every time.
Haha, we've got you now, Master. Get in the box.
Get in the cube.
Get in the box, and somehow we're going to wave the screwdriver like it's a magic wand.
Yeah.
And using the regeneration energy from the Cybermasters, sorry, I said it again, somehow that's going to generate enough energy to reverse the forced regeneration of the Doctor back into being a Whittaker Doctor, and the Master's brain...
Doctor.
Yes, a Whittaker Doctor. Also sending the Master's brain back into the original Master's Rasputin body. No one thinks we should maybe check the Master's brain didn't go into that other one.
Oh, God.
And maybe lock him up. No, we just leave him there.
Leave him in his cube.
Whittaker Doctor and Hologram Doctor, who can now cease to exist. I hope that isn't the case, because you could do a lot with that. We'll probably never hear from it again.
Never
but it doesn't
ever.
matter, because we'll never hear from Chibnall again. So it doesn't matter. But they all get back into the TARDIS. They teleport to London 2022. What's happening?
The building's just exploding.
Oh, you know what? We missed another bit. Oh, so before the regeneration back into Whittaker Doctor, or was it after? Oh, I know. No, I don't. We're on the Cyber TARDIS moon.
Yeah.
The Master and the Whittaker Doctor are outside of the TARDIS on the Cyber moon.
This comes after.
Does it? Is that with Rasputin, Master?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. This is just ridiculous.
So that's right near the end. Come on,
Right.
come on. I can't wait for the next time we review a Doctor Who episode. I promise it'll be a good one.
Oh, I hope so. I sure hope so.
I've done a big list of episodes.
We go
that
to
can-
London 2022, and Tegan and Kate have destroyed the building. I'm not going to say what you said they did to the building.
What did I say?
You said they 9/11'd the building.
Did I?
They destroyed the building
No, because-
with all the Cybermen inside of it, having just escaped themselves and harming no one else in the process. We just assume all of the soldiers got out. Oh, what a great job you've done destroying this building. Remind me not to mess with you.
And the
Then everybody gets in the TARDIS. Dan's there. Bradley Walsh is there.
no, Dan's not there. It's Bradley Walsh, Tegan and Ace,
I'm
Yasmin, Vinda, Kate Lethbridge Stewart.
Yeah, they all get a crank each in the TARDIS.
Yeah, and
And on 3, I want you to all pull a lever. And then also, Vinda, you're going to go back into space. I've fixed your ship in 2 seconds.
yeah, because I'm just fucking Ace. So as Vinda's ship fucks off. The Doctor frees the energy monster that's like chained up on the planet. And
Haha,
it starts
you're
like
free.
blasting the fucking
Blasting
planet.
the whole planet so that we don't ever have to worry about its presence in the continuity again.
And then the mask.
We've also missed the part where the Doctor gets into the planet TARDIS and teleports it to the modern day
Oh yeah.
by TARDISing the Cybermoon to the modern day.
Oh.
And before we even destroy the Cybermoon, all the volcanoes erupt because of the Daleks' plan.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
Doctor does something in the Master's TARDIS to make the cyber conversion moon, that's also a TARDIS and a cyber moon, shoot
I've got a...
Death Star lasers at all of the volcanoes and make them all just turn into steel.
We've said volcano too many times for a Doctor Who review. Fuck you, Chibnall. Sorry, carry on.
To stop all the volcanoes exploding, the Doctor does something that wouldn't stop volcanoes exploding, and that is turns all the lava into the top of them into steel. If presumably the lava inside the actual magma cores, the tubes, the big ball of lava underneath a volcano that's built up over time, is also turned into steel, fine, whatever. Lava don't just turn into steel, you need to add carbon. So maybe the conversion rate did that too. Anyway, you've turned all the lava on the top into steel so that the lava erupting out of the volcanoes doesn't destroy all of planet Earth. If that thing was still erupting, it would keep erupting. It's just the ground would raise, cracks would form in the earth, and all of those volcanoes would still erupt and destroy everything. So we're just going to assume all of the insides of the volcano as well also got turned into steel while mid-eruption.
Science.
And
Science.
then the space laser girl destroys the cyber moon.
You just seem like you've given up on this already.
This is just,
It's
the more I think about it, and the worst part is,
I can
if
see
for
the
some
headache
reason,
forming.
if somehow you're listening to this but you didn't watch the episode, and this sounds like a disjointed mess that doesn't make any sense, I assure you, it's not my recollection of events. It's Chibnall's scripted writing of events.
It's just so. The annoying part is the acting was good, all the sets and costumes were good.
Yeah, we
the
get some
special
great
effects
acting
were
from
great.
Yaz in a moment. I mean,
Genuinely broke my heart.
yeah.
But the core thing, the thing that should hold it all together, like the production team, the actors, the music, all fantastic. It's just Chibnall bad. Oh god. So the Master crawls out of his TARDIS as the Cybermoon is. We're nearly at the end. Come on. The
We'll get there.
Cybermen. I just saw Eve reaching for a gun and looked like she was about to put it in her mouth. We're nearly at the end, Eve. We're nearly at the end.
Whew.
So the Master crawls out. He's got like a little device in his hand. And he's like, "I'm gonna die because you took your body back, you bitch." And the Doctor's like, "See ya, off to my TARDIS." And the Master presses a button on it, this little device. The energy laser child shoots, hits the Doctor.
Oh, I bet that hurt.
And then the Master's like laid on the floor. He's dead. So melodramatic.
Still technically dies off screen,
Yeah.
so we'll see him again.
Yeah. Yaz runs out the TARDIS. I thought this was quite a
Yeah,
nice
the
moment.
Yaz rescuing.
I'm going to say from this point on, it's really good.
Yeah, possibly all of the rest of the episode from this point onwards is.
It's a shame it's
pretty
the
good.
last 10 minutes, but it's as far as the last 10 minutes go, it's probably some of the best last 10 minutes in
Yeah.
Doctor Who. So Yaz carries the Doctor, who's like motionless, dead, carries her to the
Back
TARDIS.
to the TARDIS, a fully crewed TARDIS.
A fully crewed TARDIS. The TARDIS disappears, and then it like cuts to black. When it comes back, the Doctor comes to, and she's all like,
Where's everybody gone?
Where's everybody gone? And Yaz is like, "Oh, I took him home. Don't worry about it. We can go see him later or whatever the fuck."
Actually, no, I'm feeling a bit unwell.
And the Doctor does. This is the thing that I said. I'm glad Chibnall left it in. Said the other week when the modern Doctors regenerate, it starts on their hand for some reason. They look at the hand and like, "Oh no, I'm regenerating shit." And that happens, and what I loved about this is the Doctor's really upset. She's like, no, I needed more time. I want more time. I need more time. And then she sees how upset Yaz is, and she kind of starts comforting Yaz.
And my goodness, yeah, and she does. What's important to Yaz becomes more important to the Doctor.
Yeah, I love
than how
that.
she was feeling. And Yaz, the actor, I'm sure they're cutting between scenes to put droplets of water on her eyes because that's how it's done, genuinely, in crying scenes like this.
Yeah.
But she's acting her ass off in this bit.
Yeah,
she
oh,
looks
yeah.
genuinely fucking like she's crying.
Heartbroken.
Absolutely. We've got enough time to do one last thing, yes.
Wait.
This is cute. I like this.
Yeah. I loved it. She says, let's have one more trip.
You go anywhere you want.
What flavour ice cream do you want? I love that. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and then we then have them sat on the roof of the TARDIS, which I'm sure was very dangerous to climb on top of.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they're sat there and they're watching the Earth
Just
from
eating
a
ice cream.
comfortable distance, just eating ice
And
cream.
all while they're eating ice cream, you see
Glowing hand.
the glowing hand, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah.
But it was kind of... The bit I didn't like was that they have this conversation about, what's going to happen next, and the Doctor's like, I think I want to do this next bit alone.
Yeah, and as I said to you during the episode in my outrage, despite this being a lovely farewell scene and leads on to what I think is a lovely regeneration scene.
Yeah, I do as well, actually.
The scene leading up to it as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Yaz would have done that.
I
think there's too strong of an emotional collection. I think
Yeah.
Yaz would have insisted, no, I'm going to be here for you.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, no matter who you change into, I'm going to be here for you.
Yeah.
But we don't get that. They accept...
It's because there's a changeover of
Yes.
production.
Yeah, and I guess they need the Doctor to be alone for the next segment. And here is where we get our build-up to the actual regeneration itself. We are...
Go on.
We're going to go back and forth. This scene is flops backwards and forwards, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It breaks up the scene. As Whittaker Doctor is sort of talking to himself about how we're gonna do next, what we're gonna do. It's sort of more of a monologue to themselves about what they're gonna do, what they're gonna become.
It's kind
what
of a
they're gonna
message to
remember.
the next Doctor, I suppose.
Yeah, and they're accepting it. That's what I like. In that last moment, they're accepting it. We're also intercut with this scene in a good way, Chibnall.
Yeah.
Not like the whole rest of the episode.
I genuinely think
We have the hilarious Alcoholics Anonymous bit. We have
It's
a Companions Anonymous where Yaz has been dropped off, Bradley's there, Dan's there, and lots of old companions are all sat in a circle in a nice room, and they're all there to talk about their stories of the Doctor.
I loved that. There was Mel Bush, played by Bonnie Langford, who will thqueam from Bugs in Alone. There's Joe Grant, the first companion I ever saw, companion of the third Doctor.
Not all the companions that are alive, to be clear, but
No, there's enough.
the ones that they could afford.
Yeah, there's Ian Chesterton, who was in the very first episode, playing a school teacher.
Yeah.
And of course Tegan, Ace, Dan, Graham, and Yasmin, which I thought was a really lovely.
They're sharing the stories about because their lives have been affected by the Doctor. And they've got stories to tell. And they don't know these stories amongst one another, and that is beautiful. I love the idea, and I think that would. I'd love to genuinely, if we were to assume this is reality.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that'd happen.
Yeah,
and that'd be lovely, and they'd share those stories, and they'd all be rather than having any resentment.
Yeah.
For a life no longer lived, they're all genuinely thinking about and talking about how things change, because for some of them had no idea that
there were other Doctors.
There were other Doctors, so to speak, other regenerations, and I think this is a good build-up to a regeneration.
Yeah.
I think he's done the regeneration good here. Dan, would you like to talk about the actual physical regeneration itself?
I was so cross. There was no physical violence like I promised a few weeks ago.
What I thought was going to happen did happen, and that was the common public is aware of the regeneration. They know that the Doctor's going to regenerate into Shutigatwa, right?
Yeah.
And my assumption was, well, there's got to be a cliffhanger, because of course there is. And I thought the cliffhanger would be that the regeneration would be into David Tennant. I was also thinking, maybe that doesn't make sense, because anniversary episode clips are of Dr. Tennant wearing blue
Yeah.
with Catherine Tate. So your thoughts were this is a different multiverse Doctor, because you and me have been wanting them to do multiverses with the Doctor for ages, long since before it was popular. We've wanted them to explore that concept a bit more, because we don't get that. We just get one timeline and Doctor intersections. We don't really get multiverses. But anyway, tell me about your feelings on Jodie Whittaker regenerating into David Tennant.
For a start, there wasn't the usual thing that New Who has done since time immemorial, and that's the Doctor didn't regenerate in the TARDIS.
Is that a big deal? Is that?
Well, the TARDIS set wasn't destroyed.
Oh right, that's a good start. Yeah, well, they spent a lot of money on those big crystal tubes, so we're keeping that for the next season, depending on what Russell T Davies wants to do.
I genuinely still think there's probably some multiverse shenanigans, because when Jodie Whittaker turned into David Tennant, her costume changed as well, which it's only been done.
Do you have enough faith in Chibnall, or perhaps a retconning of this by Russell T Davies, that isn't just a continuity error? I think that's a continuity error.
No, Russell T Davies knows. Russell T Davies knows his shit. He don't make continuity mistakes. That back.
I don't have the time to have this podcast ironically cut to all of Russell T Davies's continuity mistakes. There'll of course be some. Yeah. But do you not feel that the fact that the Doctor regenerated and the clothes regenerated too is not just a continuity error? Because that's what I think it is.
No, because Russell T Davies would not be able to resist, and when David Tennant inevitably changes into Ncuti Gatwa, he will not be able to resist having him try on like different outfits. And no, that's intentional. Before he settles on the one that he eventually is going to wear. No, that I still think that there's some bigger nonsense at play here. And we will soon I say soon, sometime in 2023 we'll discover what that nonsense is. So David Tennant is technically the Doctor again.
Yes.
Right. We're an hour and a half in. Our
about the same length as the episode itself, because it takes even though we've skipped over stuff and not had to base it with acting and voices and all this stuff, it's taken us as long to kind of describe it. And this is, to be clear, we've started recording this immediately after the episode. We've not had any time to properly process our thoughts and opinions on things and where it's gone, where it's come to. But and yet, even after just this, Dan, the episode as a whole now.
What are your thoughts?
You want me to start with that one?
Yeah.
I think it's not unreasonable to call this Chibnall's final insult, which is what I jokingly named my document as this episode title.
Phil, that's the title of this episode.
If we were to assume Chibnall takes full responsibility for this episode, at least he got the ending right, but that ending was completely disconnected, because whatever the story was before that, the ending could still be the same. However, we got to the point where the Doctor needs to regenerate, all the shit before it, and it was shit. That ending part, I think, was done right. The goodbye, I think, was done right. Bearing in mind, we have to do a reset, we have to allow the next Doctor have a different companion, or maybe Russell T Davies presumably had a conversation and said, can you have it end like this, because this is how I want to start the anniversary. I assume there are those handshakes between showrunners. Well, they wouldn't just leave it with some horrible canon replacing piece of shit right at the end of an era. The minute
Jodie turned into change, the minute the Doctor stopped being Jodie Whittaker, Russell T Davies was writing. But I suspect my thoughts are the episode was garbage, apart from the bits with the old Doctors.
Yep, they were good.
There were a few shining moments in a few decent moments. Like Graham didn't make sense being there, but I enjoyed his presence.
Do you know what's really, really fun that's going to upset all the Doctor Who Turbo fans?
Go
on. In a lot of the Doctor Who groups, people like to do this thing where they do a little timeline of all the Doctors, and it's like a wallpaper of all the Doctors, and it's the first, second, third, and so on. And there's always massive arguments between people who can't agree on, does the Fugitive Doctor come first? Where does the War Doctor go? Is the Fugitive Doctor after? And they all get upset. I just want to lay down the law right now, officially. In all of these screenshots you ever do, you have to include the Master Doctor, and you have to include Jodie Whittaker twice and David Tennant twice. Fuck all of you.
Wait, David Tennant. Whoa, you got to include David Tennant more than twice.
Oh, has he regenerated back multiple times?
There were two David
was there
Tennant.
A hand of David
there
Tennant?
Was a hand of David Tennant, and
that's an offshoot. You have to do a separate screen. you have to do them twice in the same picture.
So this episode was fucking garbage, barring a few moments.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, the good moments can be...
Well, the comedy bits, really.
Basically clipped and put on YouTube, and that's it. That's all you need to see. And they probably will be. The fucking...
I'm gonna put screenshots in this episode. I'm not gonna put clips from the show in, but I'm going to have the episode play and take screenshots of key elements, put them in this. So while we're talking, people are seeing a short visual.
I'm sorry that you're the one who does all the editing. And
but that's also why it won't be uploaded until tomorrow after work. So
the last 10 minutes from the Master crawling out of the TARDIS and killing Jodie Whittaker, I think everything after that, I genuinely believe, were written by Russell T Davies. Like, it's like a totally different person fucking wrote it. Like, and I strongly...
It's impactful. It makes you it's all too rushed for you to really get into it and be blubbering with tears. But it's nice.
Even though, because in 5 years of Chibnall being in charge of Doctor Who, there's been no build up to that relationship / friendship. There's been nothing. But in that last 10 minutes, I fucking felt it, and it nearly pushed me over the edge to actual tears. The McCoy one did. The McCoy and Ace one did, where the Seventh Doctor and Ace were talking. That did. I was sat here. A little tear went down my cheek. I don't know if you noticed, but if
one of the producers had a little squirt of water.
If the previous one of our producers, Mick Foley, the wrestler, is our producer. If the previous 5 years of Doctor Who would have been good, then that last 10 minutes might have pushed me over the edge into. I felt it, but I felt it in the moment. I haven't felt it in the last 5 years, if you know what I mean. Whereas the rest of the episode was it was just loud noises, and there was no plan. There was no. What was the Master's plan other than stealing the Doctor's body and letting the Daleks have the Earth? There was nothing. Jesus.
And, I think we should probably call it there.
Yeah.
I'd like us to talk about our feelings on the future of Doctor Who, where it's going to go, what we're going to get next. And we should probably just discuss our feelings about this next week, when we've had time to properly process it. But this has been our quote-unquote review or immediate feelings of... there's just one thing left to talk about this episode, that is how many turtles out of 10?
I mean, the good bits on their own will get 10 turtles because they were genuinely fantastic. Like stupidness, like Paul McGann not wearing the robes.
Yeah, fun little comedy bit.
It was just fun. Like, they could have had all the Doctors in costume. That'd have still been cool, but no, just Paul McGann, just like, I don't do robes. 10 turtles out of 10, and it answered a question I don't think anyone's really asked much before, like what happens to the Doctor when they regenerate? What happens to the old Doctor? No one's really asked that before, but it was cool. And then the last 10 minutes were really quite powerful and lovely, but the overall story was just.
Did you expect any different?
I was taking serious opium going into this episode.
Before the episode, we were saying, it'll be Chibnall's last insult. But then I was also like, you know what would be funnier? if it was an absolute masterpiece,
Yeah.
but undermined everything anyone ever says is bad about Chibnall's era of Doctor Who.
And annoyingly,
We didn't get that, but there's a reality we could have done. That'd have
annoyingly,
been funny.
Chris Chibnall set up this this timeless child arc, the fugitive Doctor, and all that stuff. Not been answered. Those questions have not been answered.
Yeah, that's someone else's problem now.
Yeah, this is probably why Russell T Davies is going to reset reality or some bullshit like that.
With something we're going to call the reality bomb.
Genuinely, this episode as a whole gets like 2 turtles out of 10, 1.5 turtles out of 10 on that. It's actually made me cross now that I think about that aspect of it.
You're going to be very angry for the next few hours.
Yeah, I am.
And you're going to have random little spurts of, oh, now I'm really upset because I
am.
just remembered something else.
Yeah.
Save it for next week, Nan.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye. See you next week.
Have a nice day.
Happy birthday.
I'm going into a tunnel.
Happy birthday.
Goodbye.
It's someone's birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Bye.
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 Bye.